As a person with a very deep voice, I'm hired all the time for advertising campaigns. But a deep voice doesn't sell B2B, and advertising on the wrong platform doesn't sell B2B either. That's why if you're a B2B marketer, you should use LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn has the targeting capabilities to help you reach the world's largest professional audience. That's right, over 70 million decision makers all in one place. All the big wigs, then medium wigs, also small wigs who are on the path to becoming big wigs. Okay, that's enough about wigs. LinkedIn ads allows you to focus on getting your B2B message to the right people. So, does that mean you should use ads on LinkedIn instead of hiring me, the man with the deepest voice in the world? Yes. Yes, it does. Get started today and see why LinkedIn is the place to be to be. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply.
Entrepreneurs Enigma is a podcast for the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. It's got the wins and the fails that we all face being entrepreneurs, how we learn from adversity. Every week I talk to a different entrepreneur with a story to tell. I'm Seth Goldstein. Come with me on the journey. This is Entrepreneurs Enigma. Let's get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneurs Enigma podcast. I say that I've done 200 episodes of this, which I have. So I have a good buddy of mine, Zave Smith, on the line today. He is a consummate marketer. He is a photographer extraordinaire. He is a visionary in the Philadelphia tech scene, making his head explode right now. He has a new project called it's MyBkyrd, but it's spelled MyBkyrd. And it highlights individuals in the Philadelphia area, in our backyard, hence the name. And it's a really neat project. And it really, I think, it hones in on all of Zave's specialties of sorts, his creativity and whatnot. And if the name rings a bell, Zave was one, I think, was like the first or second interview I had on this podcast way back when. So he's making a second appearance. He is the only other person other than Zave to have a second appearance is Jason Falls, who's had 3 because he's special. But, Zave is special too. That's the reason why he got to get on a second time. He's always up to something. So let's bring Zave in here and see what he's up to now. He's always up to something good.
Good morning.
How's it going, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good this morning.
That's great. And it's a cold day here in Philly. It's going to be even colder when this episode comes out because it's going to come out in January, and we're recording this in November, right before the week before Turkey Day in America. So,
yeah, we're going to have a house full of people starting to descend here on Tuesday. So,
oh, geez.
No, I love it. I love it.
It'll be fun. All the kids running around, screaming, "But Grandpa, 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 Grandpa!" You're like, I'm trying to work, guys. Yeah, no, there's no working when everyone's in the house.
No, they land Tuesday evening, so it's really just Wednesday.
Oh, that's not bad, because Wednesdays no one wants to talk to you anyhow on that day anyhow. So
yeah, I wouldn't work on Wednesday anyhow.
You're not allowed to. My kid's off on Wednesday, so it's kind of like, all right, I gotta take him to the eye doctor. That should be not fun. So anyhow, enough of our side rant here. What is MyBkyrd? How did you come up with it? It's kind of clever.
MyBkyrd it just kind of fell into place. I'm basically a commercial photographer who specializes in lifestyle and portraiture. And when COVID first hit, the commercial photography world did a Houdini. There was nothing going on.
Nothing,
And after a month or two of sitting around the house, I think we locked down mid-March of 2019, I think it was. So
no, it was March of 2020.
2020, you're right.
Yeah, so, 2019. No, wait, it was March of 20. Yeah, it was March of 2020. It was mid-March.
Yeah, 2020. So by the beginning of May, I couldn't stand being at home anymore.
I'm sure your wife was more. It was more your wife saying, "Get the hell out of the house."
No, she was really not happy about me doing this. I masked up and geared up and decided to go do some photography of people who were back to work. That was what the series was called. So I went in various Philadelphia neighborhoods and I photographed the people who were back to work back then with security people, construction people, some
grocery
restaurants,
people,
grocery people. and did this. I ended up doing a bunch of different neighborhoods, and it was a still photography project that was well received. I was really happy with it. So what happened is in the spring of this year, I had a couple days that I was a little slow. And I thought, you know what?
That's
I should go
shocking because
back.
you're never slow. You're always
I
doing
know,
something. You're always up to something.
always up to something. So I decided to go back and think, why don't I go revisit some of these neighborhoods and see what's going on now, what the changes are. So I took my camera, and I just happened to go to Reading Terminal was the first place I stopped. I don't know why I went there. Maybe I was hungry. I don't know. So,
well, you're Jewish and we like to eat, so go figure.
Yeah. So I went down there, and I spent a couple hours just photographing. And I came back and I showed my business partners at Xhilarate some of the shots I did. And Michael McDonald, who is our creative director and artist extraordinaire, just went bananas and said, we got to turn this into this project. And the MyBkyrd website, we had developed for another thing about 4 or 5 years ago that just, we never did anything with it.
And you just have it. You had the domain name, so might as well use it.
We had the domain name.
We're going to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show.
We had the WordPress, structure. Yeah. And so we just decided to apply that to this new photos and start this new project up. Now, the interesting thing here was the pivot I had to do, because what started as a still photography project wasn't really working on this new website. It really had to be a video project. And to be quite honest, I've never shot like guerrilla style, one-man band, impromptu videos.
Oh, that's up for a challenge. There you go.
So I went back to Reading Terminal. I turned my little Canon R5, stuck a good shotgun mic on it, and went and started interviewing the people who work there, the people who shop there, the people who started businesses there. And I had 6 questions, asked them, and filmed it. And because of who I am, most of the questions reflected around the business of being in the Reading Terminal.
Yeah, or if anyone knows Reading Terminal, it's a bustling marketplace of like stalls and shops and stuff, and it's very eclectic, very Philly.
Yeah, and it's been around for about over 100 years now.
Oh yeah.
I think it was started in 1893, if I remember.
Back when the Reading Railroad used to be around, and they used to go in right above it.
So I went back and I started doing these video interviews, and after doing 3 or 4 of them, I thought, I have no idea what I'm doing here. So I went on YouTube and I decided to Google interviews. Right, I said Google like shorts about Reading Terminal, and about half dozen popped up, and they were all about the food, like close-ups of the grease coming off the sandwich, the cheesesteaks or whatnot, or the donuts.
Now I'm hungry. Thanks, Zave.
Yeah, I know. And I thought, it never occurred to me to do anything about the food. I just wasn't interested in that. But I was interested in the people, their stories, why they're there, what they like about working there or not like about working there. What is it like to own a business in the Reading Terminal? Yeah. And that's what the stories were about. So in each location, we've shot 3 locations already. We've shot the Reading Terminal, Italian Market, and Old City. And I'm currently
working areas, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm currently almost done with Manayunk.
Oh, that's a fun area, yeah.
Yeah, so I've selected 6 establishments, not necessarily all businesses. I've tried to make it diverse as possible, but 6 establishments, and I've gone in there and talked to the owner or the manager, or there's some people who either work there or shop there, and asked them about what is it like to be in Old City, or what is it like to be in the Italian Market. And that's become the core of what MyBkYrd's about.
I love it. And that's one of the beauties about to swing it back around to entrepreneurship, which is what the whole idea of this podcast is. Because you're an entrepreneur, you can do this kind of project. You can say, hey, look, I have an idea. Let's run with it.
Yeah, it's exactly that. When you're an entrepreneur, you do have a lot of pressures on your time. Your calendar is probably, managing your calendar is probably even more important than managing your cash flow, right?
Oh, it's incredibly frustrating.
Yeah. What is my priority today? Is it marketing? Is it hiring? Is it, improving the product? What is that? But, one thing about being what I do is developing as an artist, as a photographer, as a videographer, is also there. That's how we improve our product, make ourselves more competitive.
You got
So,
it.
I could justify going take a couple hours off in an afternoon and hanging out in the Reading Terminal or Italian Market. And I just loved it. I love the people I met there. They're just like amazingly warm and friendly and interesting and passionate. Like most entrepreneurs, one of the things I love about entrepreneurs, they're a bit like artists, is they're crazy, usually crazy passionate about what they do.
Or just crazy. Or just crazy in general.
Or just crazy,
Yeah.
But it's actually the passion that attracts me, not so much the craziness.
Yeah.
And the people who own places in Reading Terminal or Italian Market or Old City, a lot of them didn't like set out in life to do what they're doing, but they ended up there and they find it very fulfilling.
It is, and that's part of the goal, is to find a job that you want to do.
Yes.
And sometimes that involves being your own boss, which is really cool. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember who said it, but if you find something you love to do, you don't have to work a day in your life, which isn't quite true.
It's not quite true, because you're still working. I mean, I
still got to do the taxes.
I mean, talking to Dave is work. I mean, come on now, this is total work. No, it's totally fun. It's fun.
You got to put up with people like Seth. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you have to do.
It's networking, but I mean, that's the whole thing. Like last night, I went out to 2 networking events. I mean, I enjoy it. It's still, would I rather do something else? Yeah. But it's part of the business, and I enjoy it. And I enjoy meeting people and schmoozing and networking and finding business that way. But
networking events are interesting, because when I was younger, I used to go to networking events thinking, where can I find a client? What can I get out of this? Right?
Yeah.
And that never worked. When you're that hungry, no one wants to.
You never find it.
Yeah. And then, about 10 years ago, I had a change in my mindset where I went to networking events just out of curiosity. Who are these people? What do they do? Why do they do it?
Yeah.
And that's when I found networking events to be much more enjoyable and much more profitable.
Yeah, you don't go in there hungry. You go in there to meet people, because if you go in there thinking that it's going to be you're going to get your next deal that day, it's completely wrong. You go in there to build a relationship. You go in there to meet the people. Like I met Zave on a virtual networking event. I think it was Startup Bucks. I met you before then. I think I met you before then somewhere. I mean, it's a small community. It's a big city, but a small community. But like we became friends through Startup Bucks. But it's like I wasn't going there to necessarily make business. I was going there to meet people like Zave that are interesting, that might eventually turn into business, might turn into a podcast guest. I mean, at that point, I think Entrepreneurs Enigma was starting up around then.
Yeah.
Or during it was a pandemic project. So, yeah. So now I'm going to change this question on the head a little bit. I'm not sure if you had this question back when you were on the podcast at the very beginning, but when you're out and about doing your projects, it could be MyBkyrd, it could be your commercial photography, but like both woo-woo and like metaphysical and like hyperbole and literally, what is the most important thing to carry with you all the time besides the camera?
Curiosity.
You're full of that. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you have to, if you're photographing a person or interviewing the person, and if you don't care about what they're doing or what they're saying, it's going to be dull. It's going to be boring.
Yes, yeah.
And fortunately, I'm still an extremely curious person. I find the world to be a mysterious, wonderful place.
Yeah.
And I think the curiosity. The second thing is, you do have to have your technical chops.
Yes.
You do have to know what you're doing technically to execute your vision. Because if you,
or does it take a lot longer to do?
Well, or your brain's only got so many, synapses. You've got 20 gallons of gas on any afternoon. So if you're spending 15 gallons of that trying to remember how to drive the car, you're not going to enjoy the scenery, right?
Exactly. Good analogy. I like that. That's a good one.
So you got to have your technique down so it's almost or is a reflex, and that just takes a lot of practice, and that just takes a lot of growth. But if you have your technical stuff down, so you don't have to sit there and worry about exposure or f-stops. If you have, the other thing is you have to let go and really connect to what your heart is telling you, what your gut instinct is telling you. Like if you go in a situation and you're framing someone up and you go, this is what my client likes, and it's all in your head, but your eyes and your heart are telling you, oh my God, this is boring. Then you got to have the guts and the freedom and the chutzpah to go, let's change it. We're halfway through this, but this isn't working. Let's change it. You got to do a pivot. And a pivot in art and a pivot in business is the same thing. You let go of what's making you safe or what's expected, and you go for what's going to work. You have to be radically honest with yourself that this is not working. Let's go here because this could. And then maybe it does.
And if it doesn't, you know what you do? You pivot again. You keep pivoting until you hit something.
Yeah.
You hope you don't hit a wall, but you keep going. You keep pivoting and adjusting and tweaking. Just like a good photographer. Like you're take a photo, you look at it in the view nowadays you look at it in the little screen, like, all right, well, that was okay. I'm taking that picture, you make an adjustment. Same thing. It's just you adjust things. You change the f-stop in business.
Yeah, exactly. It's what's the market doing? I always have to joke about marketing, that if your goal is to chase the market, you'll never get there, because the market it's like playing pin the tail on the donkey, except that you're not only blindfolded, but the donkey's moving.
Ooh, that could be really hard.
So what you got to do is just be really true to your vision of what you think is going to work. Now, if the market doesn't like it, it's going to tell you. You got to be in dialogue with it, right?
Yeah.
But you can't just chase it. You gotta have some integrity.
Absolutely. I mean, that's another thing that I always carry with you all the time is integrity and curiosity and being willing to pivot. I love that, dude. So it's MyBkyrd. It's MyBkYd.com.
Yeah, what is it? You have it up here somewhere.
I put it on the ticker on the screen already.
MyBkYd.com.
It's the Web 2.0 spelling. That's what it is. But we'll put it in the show notes so people can just click on it.
And I think they'll find it. It's kind of sweet. It's a very sweet and enjoyable thing. Yeah. There's 21 interviews up there now. By the time this comes out, there'll probably be another 6 or so. Plus a little bit of intro with yours truly. It's not meant for people to go through every single video. I don't expect anyone to do that. But it's meant to, like, go watch this one, and tomorrow go watch that one. And I think you'll find it enjoyable.
For a break. It's good for a break in the day.
Right.
Go watch the human interest piece. Go see Zave and his smile.
And it's more fun than Facebook, where everyone's just telling you how great they are.
Or how bad the world is. One of the two. Yeah. Well, Zave, this has been so great. I'm so glad I got you back on.
Seth is great. I'm glad we fun.
I got to throw a big question at you, which was fun. So that was cool.
Cool. Okay.
And we'll see everyone. Guess what? Next time. Yay!
Take care, Seth. It's good to talk to you.
That was a great show. If you're enjoying Entrepreneurs Enigma, please review us in the podcast directory of your choice. Every review helps other podcast listeners find our show. If you're looking for other podcasts in the marketing space, look no further than the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcasts.net. Goldstein Media hopes you have enjoyed this episode.
This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.